Welcome to Conspiracies Now, brought to you by Speedweed.com and filmed in front of a live audience in the podcast studios of the world-famous Comedy Store. This week, we welcome from Project X and Bang Bus, comedian Jonathan Daniel Brown.
Dick.
Next week's guest is Stevie Wee Lee. I'm Wayne Roberts, and now welcome your host from the Tinfoil Hat Podcast, Sam Tripoli.
Yes! Yes! Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show for Josh. It is Josh's show. We're going to talk about all things that Josh wants to talk about today. Obviously, the news was that we'd lost our friend. We've done a million podcasts on it. We love Brody Stevens so much. And this was his last show that he did. We were his last interview. I wish I could have hugged him. He had to run off to do some gig in the valley. So I went and got my Enjoy It tat today. That's going to be with me. The whole question was, where did I want to do it? Did I want to do it on my left, my right, because I jerk off on my right? But then he's 10% gay, so do it on the right and let him enjoy, right? So we appreciate it once again. The show is brought to you by our good friends at Speedweed.com. They sponsored Comedy Chaos. They sponsored this show. These episodes will be, it's for the people who are the G's and really love the show. And we appreciate what Gino's doing, the hard work. Always imitated, never duplicated. OG in the podcasting game from the start, from the early days of Death Squad. So he's here with us now. So please go use the promo code punch. What are we doing? Tinfoil Hat?
Tinfoil Hat.
Tinfoil Hat, and you'll get it. And we're going to have a special episode coming up with Gino. We're going to ask him stories and facts about weed. He says he doesn't have a lot, and I said that's perfect for the show, which is what we're all about. We have one guest today. Some days we have a packed house. Some day we have one guest. And so Josh is going to be able to ask almost any questions he wants, as long as they're not retarded, okay? So you try. So Josh, a good guy. Thanks for supporting. Josh, you got your weed, Josh?
I got my weed, man.
Boom, dude. Boom. One fucking joint for the man, the myth, the legend. Again, joining me, he's the star of Project X. Controversy in his life this week, and he's joined us to talk about it. But we're going to get into what we all want to know. What was it like to be on Bang Bus?
Oh, man, it's been 11 years, dude. 11
That's
fucking years.
Dude, how crazy is that? They're still making porn.
I know. There's so much, and it just keeps getting me. You know what's interesting is that the stars are gone. I mean, there's a few. There's like Riley Reid or whoever. That's the only one I can actually think of. I
don't know why I met her, and I can't watch her porn. It's like when I know them, I can't watch them get fucked.
Oh, dude, that's the entire
you
thing.
Have a soul.
It's called yeah, the humanization ruins everything.
Yeah, it's like, I don't gotta know you. I jerk off your porn. Go away. Don't go. I don't want to know you have hopes and dreams. Go away. Right?
No, it's all about reminding yourself that that's a real human being, which kills the boner.
Dude, I'm still jerking off to 2008 porn. Most of the chicks I beat off to are dead.
You know, the 90s, a lot of the 90s stars are gone, and at this point, you have to ask yourself, like, do you want to appreciate the classics, or do you feel like you have to...
I like the classics.
Don't get me wrong, it's the big hair.
It's apparently Chambers.
But, oh yeah, dude, and what's her name? Chrissy Canyon? Armenian. Like, anytime there's a big Armenian star, I gotta give shout-outs.
You gotta represent, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. When you did that, like, what was the feedback from that? Was there backlash from family?
So, yeah.
Was dad, like, high-fiving you, mom crying?
Well, I'll take you through it. Didn't talk about it for, like, 6 months. Dad found it. Asked me if I could get rid of it. I said, no, I'm screwed.
Yeah, it's the blood in the water.
Yeah, it's there literally until I fucking die.
No, it will be there when you're dead.
Yeah, when I'm dead too. Like, someone's gonna, like, put, like, a fucking, like, a screenshot on my grave.
Yeah.
Like, I have no... It doesn't matter. I've lost 75 pounds. It doesn't matter. I will always be that fat naked kid.
Right.
So, here's how it works. It comes in waves. So, like, I talked about it with the family, and they were actually pretty cool. Went away for a few years. Project X came out. It then surged back in because Warner Brothers owns TMZ, and I told Warner Brothers the story to get the fucking job. So of course they leaked that to TMZ, and they make a shitload of money off of the clicks. I get nothing, and then everybody knows my dick's on the internet forever.
Yeah.
And so it goes. Now what Bang Bus did, the Bang Bros did, which I think I could probably sue them for this, was they like got rid of like I didn't use my real name, and then like when the secret was out or whatever, they're like, no, this is like the guy from Project X. This is Jonathan, and I'm like, no, I signed a fucking fake stage name for this, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And
they usually respect that. Like, there's this unwritten rule in porn, like usually you don't give out people's real names. And two, like when a girl retires, they don't tell you where she went.
No,
like,
they leave them alone.
Shit.
Because the porn industry, I mean, they got no unions, right? They can't band together and demand shit. So the least they can do is not advertise the trail of corpses that they've, accumulated over the past 40 years.
What do you think gets a union first? Stand-up comics or porn stars?
Oh, porno way before stand-up.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
They don't put up with shit, dude. They don't put up with shit. I used to do. I'm thinking about bringing back the Naughty Show just because
you should.
Just opportunities show up, and they'll always. I was like, bring back the show. So I remember, I would ask these porn stars, "Hey, you want to do this show?" And they go, "How much does it pay?" I go, $50. Like, nope. And I was like, a comic would stab their mother for a $50 gig at some point.
So how it works is like porn is always been like because they got such a bad reputation. When a porn actress like gains power, like she'll have like a huge no list of like dudes she won't touch. She'll make
she won't do.
Yeah, shit you won't do. There used to be, I think there still is. There's like testing every 2.5 to 3 weeks. But the big thing that is just like hurting this business and it's not really hurting it. It's just changing it. Is the tubes. So you don't have the porn stars. You don't have people making like fucking $20 million, for fucking. That just doesn't exist.
I believe porn is female sports that everybody wants to watch, right? They're the female athletes that people are like, yeah, I'm getting behind. I want that rookie card, right?
It's endurance.
Doug Stanhope had the funniest bit at the AVN. He goes, the AVNs are the only award show where you can get a newcomer of the year and a lifetime achievement award all in the same year.
And a retirement party, too.
He is one. Yeah, he's the best. The thing, and we'll get off of porn because this is a porn show, but I'm doing a joke about they're now really running real ads on Pornhub.
I've seen it.
Like F150s, like trucks, like a rock. It was hot as your cock can be, like a rock. The F-1050 for men who like to have their wives can have trains ran on by black guys. It's the F-1050.
Dude.
Like those are real ads running on Pornhub. That's how big Pornhub is.
All internet ads are fucking weird now because they're like algorithmically personalized to whatever you've been searching for.
Right.
So that means that Pornhub knows that you've been looking at trucks.
Yeah.
And they're going, okay, this guy likes to jerk off and he likes vehicles.
Yeah.
How do we put this together, make a little money? So.
Right.
What's interesting is that the stigma is wearing off for advertisers to come to porn, but you're still never gonna like watch like This Is Us and see an ad for like a gangbang. So
or even just weed, dude.
Yeah.
It's like the weed game couldn't even get in the Super Bowl, dude. And it's just like it has nothing to do with the fact that the pharmaceutical companies own everything.
No, absolutely
not. They own
not.
every part of this fucking equation. If you listen, hey Josh, bring you back into your own show. Did you get a chance to watch the last episode on Tinfoil Hat? Right? The pharmaceutical companies and all the stuff. Send in the clowns. The pharmaceutical companies and basically how they basically control every aspect of the medical industry, and everybody's like free market. But they don't realize that even to become a doctor, there's no free market. There's so much bureaucracy that's unfucking believable.
Yep.
So the reason they won't run weed ads during the Super Bowl is because most of those owners probably own giant chunks of pharmaceutical companies.
Well, they've got to. I mean, the money. I mean, look at the Sacklers. They're the family that flooded America with OxyContin, completely privately owned. There's no stock market. There's no trading. It's just one bazillionaire family that just is flooding the fucking country with oxy.
We just threw El Chapo in jail, and those people walk.
Those people not only walk, they own art galleries, they fucking sponsor museums, they own fucking feminist galleries. Like, they're liberal heroes. And meanwhile they're poisoning middle America and calling themselves philanthropists. It is like the deepest kind of fucked up. And these are the people that are also keeping psychedelics illegal, shit like LSD and DMT and ketamine. Well, ketamine you can get at a clinic now, but it's like $800 fucking bucks. Way cheaper to snort it.
No, what's interesting about that is like the whole thing only runs on illusion. The illusion of they're in control. Because the minute we push back, they fold. The minute either the old generation dies and enough young people go, this is enough. Let's marijuana. The reason weed is legal is because the old people died that thought it was fucking helter-skelter and all that bullshit.
They thought, yeah, their white daughters are going to smoke it and get banged by black dudes. I mean, it's racism. It's all marijuana.
By the way, interracial porn is completely racism. It is this poor white chick. Look at all those black dick. Oh, this poor white. Oh, clean up aisle 5, right?
There's a dude named Tyler Knight. He wrote like this fucking book about being a black porn star. It's really good because the whole thing is just all about how he's just treated like a dick. Like he's just like a dick to these people. It's crazy.
I've watched so much interracial porn that I like to be called the N-word in bed now because this chick called me once. I was banging this Mexican. She called me at once, and then I just got hooked on it. And now I'm like, well, if it's good for them, it's good for me, right? Oh, you're shutting the door on that? So I want to get into this liberal stuff. You were part of a podcast.
I've been paying my rent for the past 2 years. I created a socialist nerd podcast, and the entire point of the show was to be like, okay, everything, I got super involved with the Bernie Sanders campaign, did a lot of volunteering, got involved with this new left wave, and what I've been seeing over the past few years, really 5-6 years now, is that there are two kinds of people on this new left. There are people that are interested in fixing the fucking economy, taking the billionaires out of power, legalizing drugs, preventing climate change from melting the fucking ozone.
Are you pro-gun, anti-gun?
I'm neutral on guns. I don't give a shit.
I am pro-gun.
You're pro-gun?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, if you look at the history of de-arming populations, it's usually followed by mass slaughter by the government that de-arms them.
Well, that's why it's always very funny when a lot of these Second Amendment groups, I'm always for why doesn't the NRA go to Ferguson? Go, okay, black people are getting shot by cops. Let's give them all AR-15s. They won't have to be getting shot.
Well, I mean, if you look at all these guys that all these white ranchers that have pushed back.
The Bundy dudes, sure.
Well, it's the Battle of I forget the name of it. We're doing a show on it, but basically where the redneck comes out, where the term redneck comes from, is when
Blair.
What?
The Battle of
Mount something.
Blair, right?
Mount Blair. Blair Mountain,
yeah.
Right? Maybe Blair Mountain. It's something.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna get murdered on the internet for this, but whatever that mountain is, that is where.
Got killed right in Duffel.
Well, that's where the redneck comes from because they push back. And what people don't realize is that that's where our labor laws come from. Having this, I have to respect this kind of labor. You have to respect labor. You got to give them a living wage. You got to do all this. Kids can't. Comes from that battle of these rednecks pushing back against the government.
And the crux of the show is basically this idea that, one of the things that's most frustrating to me about the modern left is this refusal to engage in, cross-racial solidarity, which is, black people getting fucked over, poor white people getting fucked over, Mexican farm workers getting fucked over. All of you people need to get together and take back the country, otherwise the rich will keep stomping on you.
Well, the problem is that our movement, because I'm like you, dude, I'm a pretty liberal guy. I have some libertarian views on a lot of stuff.
Sure.
The more I do the show, the more I listen to libertarianism. But it's like when we talked about with the doctors, okay, libertarians, you're telling me you want a free market fucking healthcare system. Why aren't you battling for these doctors, these people trained to be doctors, not to pay these giant bureaucratic fees so that they're fucking not coming in to $250,000 in debt so they can't start their own practice to have a free market?
Well, you know that big pharma and the insurance companies have probably the biggest grip over our Congress, more than maybe the military, maybe tied with the military-industrial complex, pills and guns.
I just got an argument with Benji today, who I love my death, about AIPAC and their influence on money. He got very mad when that one girl said it's about the Benjamins, which he inferred.
Ilhan Omar? It's not a Jewish thing.
Yeah,
it's not
well,
anti-Semitic.
it's
I'm a
very
Jew. I'll
easy to
say
do
it.
that.
It's fine.
Dude,
AIPAC sucks.
AIPAC is like, and he goes, it's not in the top 20. I go, well, the other top 20 are probably all military-industrial complex
Right.
people.
So-
And then it's like there, and it's like the conflating of like Israel and anti-Semitism.
It's
is
annoying.
where the danger comes, and it's the same. I told him it's the same lizard people because I'm just calling them lizard people. Not that I think they're actual lizards. I think some are, but I think it's. Dude, if you look at the Tibetan Book of the Dead, dog, they talk about the archons, bro, and they talk about how they create this race of people that were to control us, so that we they live off our energies, and like that was written a long time ago. And then you have Tesla. I mean, the guy who created Tesla, what's his name?
You mean Nikolai Tesla, or are you talking
No,
about Musk?
Elon Musk and crazy ass Alex Jones, basically telling the same story from two different ways from coming in, dude. So whatever's that group of people, when you see that like Queen Elizabeth is worth $33 trillion, whatever that chick is, and whatever that thing is, okay? Those people get us fighting with each other. They're the ones who think Jews run all the money. They're the ones who think Mexicans
Man,
take the
I wish.
jobs.
I'm fucking broke.
Dude, I had a discussion with Benji, who I love in my heart. I go, my girlfriend's Jewish. Her fucking family goes to Israel all the time. I have no problem with that. But to conflate criticism of policies of the Israeli government with fucking anti-Semitism is the fucking, and it's the people doing that are the ones that make you want to think gays are trying to corrupt the youth, Mexicans are taking your jobs, blacks are crack dealers. It's
all the same shit. So, you know, what's really interesting and frustrating about AIPAC is that there are a few of these actually like anti-Israeli government and Jewish groups that have started popping up. There's one called If Not Now I like, and then there's one called J Street that's pretty cool. And their deal is that AIPAC, part of AIPAC's scam is that AIPAC moves right, and the Israeli government has been fucked up for quite a long time, but over the last 20 years in particular, really since, I guess, the early 2000s when the Second Intifada happened and there were all the suicide bombings, everyone went into freak-out mode, and the right in Israel, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, basically took over after Ariel Sharon died, like, I don't know, like 6-7 years ago.
Dude, after 2 days after he basically...
Arafat died, too. Like, they all these 90s guys died at once.
Yeah, but he died interesting because he died 2 days after he basically said that the treatment of Palestinians was apartheid. And then he went
Sharon
to coma.
said that?
Yeah.
Because he engaged in it.
Yeah, well, he did. And then he had this epiphany, and then he ended up in a coma, right? He ended up in a coma.
And he's dead.
And then he died.
The Israeli left has been getting crushed for 50 years, and they wanted peace with the Palestinians, but there's just too much fucking money in keeping that war going.
Well, of course, dude. People don't realize that the actual size of Israel is from Orange County down to San Diego. Think how small that thing is. And it's bombarded with a ton of money, and imagine the amount of money spent on the U.S. population, but then now you're spending it on a population of what, 3 million, 1 million, 2 million, whatever Israel is, and all that money to concentrate into these people hate you, they want to kill you. They're saying, well, dude, if we've looked at everyone, if we believe that CIA is behind most controlled opposition in this country, what's the chances of Hamas being that as well? I mean, there is a fucking chance of that, dude.
Hamas and Fatah, the two Palestinian governments, have been basically in like a civil Cold War for as long as I can even remember. They've always hated each other. Arafat, even though he would engage in a lot of tactics that were pretty extreme, was relatively secular. And so because of that, when Hamas rolled in, and they're an Islamist government, they began to offer basically resources that they were being denied to because of the blockade by the Israeli government. So Hamas would operate hospitals, Hamas would operate EMTs and ambulances, kindergartens, fucking schools, but then they'd also like stockpile their missiles next to that shit, and then of course Israel doesn't even care, they just want to blow up the missiles, but they'll take out a school or two on the way out. So it's really, the whole thing is fucked up, because the thing is, the more Israelis you talk to, the more you realize like don't actually like Netanyahu at all, and it's just that shit.
It's just a team thing.
It's a team thing.
He's our guy. It's like what people do with
Trump,
or George Bush or Obama. It's like nobody really liked Hillary. I had so many Bernie bros, which I hate that term, turn and be like, I got to support Hillary. It's like,
I remember
no,
that.
you don't.
No, I
You
didn't do that.
don't. You know, you watched her hide. I mean, my girlfriend said the other day, he lost the primary. I go, Dana, you know he didn't lose the primary. You saw the exit polls were off by 13%. The U.S. government, the Federal Election Committee says if election polls are off by more, exit polls are off by more than 2%. It is election fraud.
I saw what you posted yesterday with the CNN town hall thing. It's crazy that every single person they brought up who was pretending to be like a marine biology professor,
or just like,
student.
I'm a mother of 5, and I've just got to, like, no, you've been fed that question, and you are answering that because you are
You're a
asking
political
them.
operative. Yeah. They're all political operatives pretending to be fucking normal Americans when they all work at lobbyist firms. This shit is fucked up. And Bernie Sanders, the only fucking Jewish candidate for president to ever make it this far, is the only one who's also criticized Israel. And that's a fucking powerful thing.
Well, let's get into real quick.
Yeah.
Socialism.
Okay.
I want to talk about socialism because I have some socialist views and I have some libertarian views.
I'll hear them out.
But I want to talk about the demonization of socialism. This notion that the guy who created socialism was the end result we hope for is communism. I mean, I have to do some more. What is created and what it becomes can be two different things, right?
Sure.
So over time, people will be like, no, we like it like this, and this is the thing. And then it's the whole thing with Hitler and how Hitler was a socialist. He liked socialism.
National socialism is interesting because it's not really socialism. It's nationalism that uses the language of socialism to get people pumped. It's all about using populism to push shit that hurts the public. And that's what Nazism does more than they convince you that you getting fucked by them is what's good for everyone. And remember that joke about Hitler, the trains ran on time. Like, they're all about efficiency, they're all about bureaucracy. And what we're seeing on the left, and what we've seen historically over and over again, is that you have someone come in who's fucking brilliant, and you have them come in with great ideas, and then they immediately get dogpiled by a fucking army of just loons. And so Bernie Sanders is being attacked by people on the left, I know, for not being left enough. And it's like, holy shit.
It's not even that. They're just, what they're trying to do is they're trying to put the stink on him of, somebody deep in his campaign was like, fondled a chick or something like that,
yeah,
which we don't know is true. It's these blue check people. It goes back to, like you say, like these get rich people out of power. Our movement has been hijacked by trust fund kids.
Oh, yeah.
These are all the children of people who participated in what we hate, which is fucking banking, war, just like all around slime, pedophilia, all this shit that we see that we really fucking hate. Their parents all engaged in this kind of fucking totalitarianism that we on the left supposedly hate. And even the left, the movement of the left, is somewhat of a CIA psyop because the hippie movement was a CIA psyop.
Well, everything gets infiltrated by COINTELPRO, man. Like, COINTELPRO never ended, you know? People act like the Fed stopped spying on activists in the 70s when they got exposed. Hell no, that's all they do. Like, that's their job, to make sure that a movement can't get big enough. Look at Occupy, man. Occupy was a movement about the 99% taking on the 1%, and then guess what happened a year after it ended? Everything became about divisive extreme identity fights. Everything became black versus white, women versus men. It became all about gender. It became all about race. And the discussion of class became verboten under Obama's America. And only until... Verboten? Verboten. It's a heavy one.
For a dude who did porn, you're fucking very knowledgeable, buddy.
Not everybody whose dick is on the internet is a fucking moron,
No.
Sam. It's their Look, I look forward to the day when so many people have had like a dick pic go out that it means nothing. We'll have the first president whose cock is on the wall of the White House. It'll be a beautiful thing once we get over that.
If you're a chick and you don't have a naked picture on the internet, you probably have mental illness.
If you haven't sent it to somebody.
Yeah, so let's get in, and we have one lady here, so obviously you don't have any, and you're a wonderful person, so I didn't mean to make that very uncomfortable here. But when you talk socialism, and the big thing about that is this movement of that Hitler was in socialism.
Not really, though. I'm going to push back a little.
But
on
if
that.
we know that Hitler in my opinion, was controlled opposition. Its grandfather was a Rothschild. We know that leaders.
Do we know that?
Yeah, we do, dude. His father, Boris Hilton. Excuse me. What's his dad's name? Oh, starts with an O.
Jim. Olis
was the bastard child of Baron Rothschild. His grandmother was the handmaid of basically the house, and he
I
went
did not
strong
know
through
that,
it.
Sam.
Well, it's coming, dude. I'm about to
learning.
have this guy come out. He's one of the best researchers on the internet, James Corbett, and he's coming on the show, and he says he can break it all down. And when that guy says something, I go,
You listen.
it's probably true,
All right.
because he lives in Japan, and he just got nothing else to do but just go deep. It's crazy how all the great truth researchers moved to Japan. They gotta get out of here because they're.
Is the internet? I mean, the internet's faster. Maybe that's you can
I
get
just
way
think
more
it's
done.
like they don't. I mean, like I do too, man. With my taxes, I'm like, I just can't stop feeding in to this fucking military-industrial complex.
Well, no, I mean that's the whole scam. I mean, we've been at war since I was fucking 12 years old. You know, like all. Part of the reason why fucking millennials, I'm almost 30, but part of the reason why millennials are so fucked up is like 9/11 happened and they were like fucking 11 to 15. Before that, it was like school shootings all through elementary school. Like, there's a reason we're all like fucking dyeing our hair blue and shit. Like, we're losing our minds. We've like grown up in a bad America and not the one that like the Gen Xers, they have the 80s and the early 90s. Then that's their 50s. The way that the boomers have the 50s.
Yeah.
We don't have shit.
No, you're right. Dude. I got
So
called
we're
the other
fucked
day.
up.
Someone goes to my act. Your act is so old school.
No.
Fucking welcome back. Say hi to the 90s for me. I mean, the 90s, what you're saying is when people could be honest and tell you the truth about what the fuck they thought. And outside the N word and maybe the F word, there wasn't all these buzzwords that everybody went nuts with.
It's too
I mean,
much.
is anybody happier right now? Is anybody happier? Or do these kids seem happier?
I don't think so. And I think the big thing is that they've got to figure out as a movement. And I was talking to a friend in Chicago who like basically helped successfully turn. Have you heard about the DSA? It's kind of complicated.
The Democratic
The
Socialist.
Democratic Socialist America. The LA
We got
chapter.
Libertarian in the back. I saw him squint a
Yeah,
little
the
bit.
LA
like,
chapter.
What are you doing?
The LA chapter's.
Boy, what you talking about? We just had a high noon moment right there.
Oh man, I'm
What are you
gonna
in, man?
duck and cover.
Yeah.
You got concealed carry, bro?
I don't need that.
The DSA LA is a fucking disaster, but how the DSA works is that every chapter is run completely independently.
Fight Club.
It's Fight Club. So I learned that Chicago, the DSA Chicago, kicked all the fucking crazies out and actually started getting people elected. And I'm like, that's what I'm fucking talking about. Like, if you're a political organization that's spending all of your time fighting about, like, who fucked who broke up with who, what words you can use, like, what's problematic, it's useless. You're wasting I'm gonna be dead one day. Fuck that shit. Let me tell you, I went to this whole thing. We went to Boyle Heights, which is a neighborhood my grandparents lived in when they came to LA. Now it's a Mexican neighborhood. And we had this meeting with a group of people in Boyle Heights, and we were like, here's our idea, a food bank. We like give food to poor people and tell them about what we're doing. And then everyone started fucking fighting each other and arguing. They said it was white saviorism. They said it was problematic to give people fucking fresh food.
Buzzwords.
Yeah, they said it was
You're gonna die alone.
And I'm like, you know, if feeding fucking people is like like too much for you guys, then how the fuck are you gonna get like elected into any position of power? How the fuck are you gonna take on the billionaires if you're so afraid of? And by the way, they always talk about how they're too white, but then they won't go into a fucking brown neighborhood because they're scared shitless because they're all fucking
I would
grad
love
students.
to knock up black strippers, so I'll go into a black neighborhood. I'm not even thinking twice about this shit. Here's our problem, dude, is we have a problem with hypocrisy in this country. There is no crime for saying something that you don't actually mean. So I could be all about, if I hear another white person check me on my white privilege, if I hear another white woman tell me about fucking mansplaining, dude, my girlfriend wouldn't know what a movie was about or what the television show's going on if I didn't mansplain to her what the plot was in the fucking show. It's just the truth, man. And I'm not saying that every woman is like that, but the notion of a gentleman explaining to a lady what is going on is this form of oppression It's just ridiculous.
It's
and
just
we're
exhausting.
we're militarizing people. I talked about it last week. It's just like, dude, I've had conversations with female comics that giving information that I would give to a male comic, like, dude, do this, this, and this. And they take it as I'm trying to fucking hold them down.
Right, when you're just giving feedback as a colleague.
Yeah, as they
Professional
go up
courtesy.
and bomb on stage, and I go, dude, fix this. Oh, I'm feeling proud. Oh, are you mansplaining to me? And that's what that is. Those terms are created in fucking think tanks.
Well, the white privilege thing is fucked up, especially because you're Armenian, man.
Well, we are from the Caucasus Mountains, bro. I mean, right?
But,
I'm from the Caucasus Mountains.
You'd think that, like, genocide would subject you to not be, like, treated like, you know, one of the fucking oppressors. Like, your history of the Armenian people is, like, there's a brutal shit happening, and then it's, like, just to be, like, then told you're white. It's fucked up. It's like it's not historically accurate to who you are.
The whole thing is kind of weird because it comes down to political. What is your group's political power? And so, listen, the name Washington Redskins, like, I'm a fucking dead on the inside comic. I don't believe in banning words, but I know that name is only allowed to ride because Native Americans have no fucking power. And if you had a team called the New York Niggers or the fucking Kansas City Kikes or the fucking any of those Fresno faggots, they would never fucking fly. But because it's the most politically powerless group, we fucking let it happen.
Yeah, and you know it's interesting because how many fucking Native Americans were at the woke Oscars a couple of days ago? Was Gil Birmingham one of the best Native American actors of, like, the modern era there? No, he was fucking not. Like, I don't see, like, did you watch the woke Oscars?
No. When I saw fucking Black Panther get nominated for
It's just
top
Disney,
movie,
man.
I'm like, this is gonna be a shit show. Okay.
And Green Book won, which is, like, the most boomery, like, did you know that, like,
Dude,
it's driving Miss
last year the
Daisy?
number one movie was about an old man who wanted to fuck a 17-year-old boy. You lost any respect right there.
Wait, the fish one?
No, wasn't the movie last year the big one that won an Oscar about a fucking old man who wanted to fuck a 17-year-old?
Last year was about the woman who fucked a fish.
What?
Oh, Call Me By Your Name. Yeah. That one also got nominated. That was a 17-year-old fucking, like, the 25-year-old. Wasn't this? He just looked way older than him, so it looked fucking weird. But, like...
Okay, I take it back.
But the actor, Armie Hammer, who played him, was, like, this 35-year-old. And Timothée Chalamet, he looks like he's, like, 14. So, like... I definitely, like, I saw it with a few friends, and I'm like, you know, like the scene where he fucks the peach. I'm like, not for me. But, you know,
But I'm cool with the guy fucking apple pie, right? That was a big part of my
Look,
fucking
Jason
youth.
Biggs is a hero of mine.
But let's get back to your podcast,
Yes.
because you had this podcast. It was a leftist podcast, and they just got too leftist. And it's got
more
like
than just getting too,
echo chamber.
It's more than just getting too leftist. It is echo chambers. It's the idea that we've been doing this for 2 years. We've been making our living doing it. I started the thing. I got my two friends together. I don't want to get too specifics because I don't want them to fucking, like, go to war with me online because they only spend their time online. They don't go outside. One of them was a very successful writer for TV who actually voted for Trump. And then I basically was like, he felt like shit about himself. And I'm like, well, look, it's not too late for you, man. I'm like a lefty. I know you're a good guy. You don't have to beat yourself up. You voted for him in California, which is like pouring water into the ocean. It doesn't matter. Hillary won California. You don't need to do this to yourself. And so I got him into all this left stuff.
But did you feel like the more liberal thing was to vote for Hillary?
I didn't vote for Hillary. I wrote in Bernie just as a fuck you.
Yeah, I did third book, but I mean,
you
like
did Jill Stein or Gary Johnson or
I think
Ron Jeremy?
I think I went Gary Johnston.
He was all right. It's like, you know, none of these guys had any shot, but it's like you have the right as a voter to opt out of the two-party system.
Bernie had a shot. Imagine the epic debates between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders.
I was salivating for it.
Oh my God, this would be the fucking back in the day, man.
Look, man, if he doesn't like just keel over because he's so old, we might get it again. But
well,
the Democrats,
we have to push back, dude. I mean, like, listen, dude. My opinion on Trump is this: I don't like a lot of the deregulation. I know we got a libertarian in the back. I want to fucking, you know, some deregulation's great. Some deregulation I have a fucking problem with, dude. Like, when can you guys shut that door real quick? So when you hear that Goldman Sachs set up, and I'd like to hear the libertarian point on this, when Goldman Sachs sets up a real estate portfolio, and they tell their investors to invest in it, knowing it's going to fail, and taking insurance out on that they got once it did fail, and nobody goes to jail for that. That to me is what we're talking about when we talk regulations, because the real word is protections. But these lizards are so smart that they put it out as regulations, which drive the libertarians crazy.
Well, look, 2008, nobody's been punished. Nobody.
Yeah. What is your opinion on that? Can you speak loud so they can hear you?
No one's punished because the bad debt wasn't liquidated.
What do you mean?
They got bailed out.
Right.
If they weren't bailed out, that's the punishment. They lose all assets. Someone
But
buys
do you
that
understand that the system is set up
course.
so that they actually budget in the bailout?
The problem is government is essentially a monopoly on force.
I don't totally agree. And
It's a monopoly on, if you can control the monopoly on force.
Hold on, get a seat. Come up here.
I want to talk. Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk.
This is what I would like the
I'm
show
into
to
this
be.
shit.
Not an argument. And by the way, first one yells loses. That's the agreement.
No yelling. I'm not gonna
Grab
yell.
the chair. Grab your chair.
What was your name, by the way?
Fadi.
Fadi, he's a
Fadi.
buddy of mine.
Jonathan, pleasure.
Fadi is high and not very.
No, that's okay.
Well, dude,
I
you're
need to
not
get
coming
more.
into
So
a
just
fucking
forgive
gun
me.
fight.
This is not
Here,
fight.
move over here. You gotta move over, Jonathan. Get up. Stand up
I'm
for a
not.
second.
I'm
You're
not
still
an
young.
Antifa. You can chill.
No, hey,
Like.
Hey, get over here, Fadi. Get closer.
Okay, well, hold up. There's a phone. I wanna.
Oh, let me move all my shit.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just.
So
I would like to read.
Can you see him?
I first want to redistribute this wealth.
Yes, scooch in a
Nice to
little
meet you.
more.
Okay, a little more, guys. A little more.
Fine, he just needs to go and
Just go in a little more. Get close, dude.
Deeper?
Get close.
Okay. A little more. Wealth redistribution right here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Socially democratic.
I appreciate it.
So
It's really good.
Yeah.
I don't drink, dude.
Makers.
If you want me to smoke
It's
meth and
apple
suck
juice.
my own dick, then let me have that fucking drink. So,
Drink.
so here's my thing. When we talk about, because when we talk deregulation, and I'm open-minded to everything.
Right.
When we talk deregulation, man, the inevitable thing is the crash, and the inevitable thing comes the fucking bailout. So my point is, like, I don't know if you watched the last episode I did in Tinfoil Hat or listened to it about all the bureaucracy that goes into getting just being able to become a doctor. Like,
Yep.
there's these things that are set up that I'd like to see libertarians address. Like, let's get rid of all these fees these guys have to pay. $5,000. Let's get rid of all the fees in the government to join a panel, like to be on a board of like the U.S. Arms Board. You got to pay $5-10 grand. That's why they have to get all these donor money. It's set up like that. But when you see, so that stuff, and when you see, and listen, dude, you could be totally right now. I'm hearing there's no right or wrong on this answer. But when you hear about Goldman Sachs setting those up and nobody goes to jail, like, what is your thoughts on that?
The reason that big entities and conglomerates and corporations that have all this clout and power, I love billionaires. I'm not a billionaire, but I love them. You know why?
Why do you love them?
Because billionaires are the reason you have these awesome pants and these shoes and these equipment and this store. Like, these are, hold up, it comes from capitalism, right?
I mean, like an 8-year-old made these awesome shoes, to be clear. Like somewhere in Asia.
That 8-year-old, if he didn't find value in the payment that he was receiving for making that shoe, whether it
Come
was
on,
one,
man.
Hold up.
Come on.
Hey, hold up. You want me to?
All right,
Yeah,
sorry.
go on, go on,
I
go on.
apologize.
It's okay. No, you're not gonna apologize. It's really simple. If a person didn't find value to work for a certain wage, I'm not saying it's like a nice thing that someone has to work that hard. Look, the minimum wage was like $5.85 when I was working in high school.
Yeah, but the price of everything at that time was
balanced.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, inflation. There's a lot of things to factor. But the point is this: is that person better off without any sort of income, any sort of opportunity?
That's like that's like I think less of a libertarian argument than it is like kind of like a modern liberal one though, because like
It's
guys like
economics.
Bezos,
I don't make any.
you don't look at it from a partisan perspective.
Well, no, it's not that. I don't look at it as a moral versus immoral, right versus wrong. It's just it's economic. Everything's economic. Economics people seem to think that the laws of economics are somehow different than the laws of physics, and they're not.
Do you really think so?
It's a science, yes.
But it's a
supply and
social
demand.
science.
It's supply and demand. And
Yeah, but
there's-
hold on.
and there's-
The problem with that.
Scarcity-based mind thought.
The problem
We're no
with that
longer in
is-
scarcity. we have abundance now, and that's why we're.
Where is it coming from? Where's it coming from?
Venture
Where the
capital.
goods, the goods and services come
Well,
from
I
people.
want to get into this. So we
Sure.
have these sweatshops,
Yes.
which you say is supply and demand.
Correct.
Well, what is happening here is this long game happened where corporates, we'll call them the lizard people again, right? The lizard people set something up where China says you cannot ship goods into us without it getting a tariff.
Right.
So what do these corporations do, who most likely told China to set that tariff up? Oh, dude, to compete, we gotta move there. So they move there, and what do? They keep the fucking the labor costs low.
Sure, it's terrible.
It's
very
terrible.
terrible. But who's to blame?
Well,
Governments. Who gives them the
don't
power
think
to do that? Governments.
So if a government then would operate under a more socialist framework and then used antitrust laws like we did in the 40s, or sorry, not the 40s, the 30s, to break up some of these conglomerates, would that bother you?
Look, I don't think the government has a position to do anything. I think government is inept, inefficient, incapable. They don't produce anything. They don't do anything. They have a bunch of red tape. They don't abide by any rules or laws other than what's written on the paper.
Oh, so you're
The
like an
government-
ANCAP. Like
I'm an
you-
ANCAP.
Okay.
I would
you
totally believe in a total anarcho-capitalist society where
Dang.
you have, look, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
You have a house. That's
Yes.
private property, right?
Well, I don't have a
respect
house,
it.
but
Well,
yeah.
I mean, imagine if you did.
No, that'd be nice.
Someday.
If I come to you,
when you get all that bank bus money.
The royalties from the union.
I come to your house, and me and you and Sam, maybe we have some sort of poker tournament. Me and
Okay.
you, we'll play poker. Okay. Nobody has a gun. But we have rules. We do have rules, and we respect the rules.
Now, now what is that rules? Just like the mutually agreed
they're
upon
people,
standards?
Look, there's rules to this room. I can't come in here shitting and pissing everywhere and expect to be treated and be welcome.
I've done it.
Yeah, Sam.
Well, I mean, some people can get away, you know.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I
But
get
you know what
you're
I'm saying? There's rules. People tend to generally abide by the rules. And if we had real private property rights and not so much this fascism that we have, which is corporations with big government.
Dude. I
Right?
agree on that, but
That's,
I
you know.
think I don't know what the rule is because yes, you have bureaucracy, but I also know places where the government has nothing and it's just lawlessness. Everyone's like, we shouldn't have cops, we should have this thing, and it's like there's a dark hand, whether it's the CIA or whatever group, floods it with guns. You have these fucking these guerrilla rebels who take over, and there's lawlessness, and there's no ability for, you know, it's like when people talk free trade. Let's talk weed and how there's this really great movement of everybody's growing weed, but there seems to be this doomsday scenario that everyone keeps talking about where like Monsanto's or Bayer or whatever is going to come in and just take over.
Altria, they bought a bunch of fucking land in Canada.
So we have this free trade where literally we're in this market where we're almost like Wild West days where everybody's almost at zero, right? And now we got this group coming in with $1 billion. Versus these guys who own fucking farms. And then we get into, oh, what's this fucking direct energy weapon shit? But that's another episode. But we have these two things. There is no fucking free market when someone's got $1 billion and someone's got just a farmland.
Yo,
there.
that's why there's this disparity. You know, I started in Kid Cannabis 5 years ago, and what's interesting about weed movies is they don't go away. People always remember them. And what I realized, the more and more I met with fans, I still get approached like once or twice a week, and which is weird, but like cool, and I've been smoked out, is that most of them still participate in the black market. Even though we have legal weed, that 40% tax is a fucking killer for really poor people, and then that fucks over a lot of the small growers. But then come in John Boehner, who put in countless people in jail for weed when he was in charge of the fucking GOP.
How that guy's
and now
walk
he's
the planet.
now he's running a weed
Unbelievable.
firm. He wants to sell it. So he put people in jail for it, and now he's profiteering off of that. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have taxes for weed. Of course we fucking should, but it shouldn't be double the fucking tax of liquor and cigarettes combined. That's ridiculous.
You're socialist, right?
I would consider myself a democratic socialist.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you justify taxation? Like you just said, because
Well, dude, I'm gonna go with him on this
Okay.
because in
All right, I wanna hear this.
1913, Woodrow Wilson, in the fucking night of Christmas Eve, gave us 2 bills. It was the Federal Reserve, which gave us a centralized bank, which is fucking highway robbery, and then the personal tax. We never was voted on. It was never agreed upon. Do you know that the IRS is a foreign entity?
Foreign entity.
It is not a U.S. Department fucking... Not
You sure about that?
Dude,
Which
you're
country?
talking to the guy.
No, I believe you. I'm just curious.
It's a IMF. It's part of the IMF.
The International Monetary Fund.
Yeah,
Okay.
they run that. You pay your taxes to an outside. They're basically, the base is located in the Caymans. The U.S. Treasury is a foreign entity. The Federal Reserve is a foreign entity, and the IRS is a foreign
The
entity.
Fed has a lot of really smart people there, though. They're just like fucking underwater. The problem. Look.
Whoa.
I know, I said something wrong.
Whoa. You just called all of us the N-word.
No. I'm not like a guy who's gonna defend the Fed.
No,
Look, because
but-
interest rates are fucked up. It is
Every single crash has been brought up by the Fed. They have openly admitted it. They do it on purpose because they get everybody fat, and then they crash it, and then they buy up everything. It's a classic fucking Rothschild.
So you're saying when you look at like these banks, right, and you look at not just the banks now, but also Silicon Valley, which is to me the new Wall Street, because what they do is they spy on all of us, they censor all of us, they tell us what to think, they manipulate search results. To me, that is like surveillance capitalism at its worst. Because in 2013, Edward Snowden was like, we're all getting spied on by the government. We went, that sucks. We should do something about it. And then all the businesses we liked started doing it, and we went, that's okay. I still want my Facebook. To me, the reason why to answer your question about why, how do I justify taxation, I look at the Great Depression, and I look at the 30s and the 40s. I look at the basically, taxation can save people if done right. Now, the kind of taxes we're getting right now are...
I'm still asking you, how do you justify
How do I
taxes?
justify it?
Yeah.
Justify
like
it-
Sam is doing something.
Okay.
How do you justify saying, Sam, you are forcefully being extorted for this money? Because I think that
Okay.
for the overall good, you have to give that money.
let me-
And Sam, you were born a free man.
I'm not born a free man.
You're not born. But if you were born a free man, you would say, I want to opt out. Look, the Amish have a socialist system. I appreciate them so much because they made it work. I agree with socialist ideas. I think they're great.
Okay.
You know, we all participate. This is social cooperation. Every single one of us in this room seeking the individual pursuit of whatever they want to do.
It's
accomplish.
collective joy.
Exactly. And I want to have my own selfish reasons from being here. Everyone else does, but collectively it works out. So we're all here for the overall good.
Mutual
Now,
interest.
Absolutely. Now, the Amish have figured something out, and it's exactly what you're saying. I think it's a good system, but there's one key word that makes them succeed: voluntary. They voluntarily become a system.
Well, do you know much about the kibbutzim in old Israel by any chance?
I don't.
The kibbutzim were really interesting because, like, before Israel really became a country,
The state of Israel.
the state of Israel,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So there were Jewish settlers in British Palestine, and they basically built these socialist colonies, and they worked for a very long time. And a lot of them were integrated, so they were Arab and Jewish, and a lot of them had nothing to do with the Israeli government. But over time, capital came in, and capital is something that is so difficult. Nobody can opt out of capitalism, and I believe that the part of the reason why I believe in socialism, part of the reason why I believe in taxation, is because
What did you find capitalism as?
capitalism right now is basically the idea that modern capitalism, trickle-down economics, the idea that money has
But
more,
trickle down economics isn't capitalism.
it seems to be
It's an idea.
Seems
it's
to be.
It's a policy.
Well, it doesn't work, I'll tell you that. Anybody who's ever waited a table knows rich people don't like to spend money.
Well, that's very funny.
capitalism is I
Right?
offer you
They don't like
something
the
and
fucking
you
tip.
give me
That's
something in
That's how they
exchange.
stay
Well, no, I mean, like
What?
That's how they stay rich.
capital is about wage concentration, though. The end result of, from
Well,
what I've
capitalism
seen,
at its basic thing is supply and demand.
Well, but
I can
that-
you want demand,
I
I have a
slightly
supply.
disagree. I think
You know,
that's
you sell
exchange.
weed.
That's
You have a
exchange.
great product. I want to buy your product. You want to sell me your product. Why can't an adult just come and say, I will purchase this on my conscience, believing
I'm a
that you
dummy.
have my
I'm not
best
a-
interest, and I pay you for
Well,
it?
let's
Why
let's-
does he have to be taxed 30%?
Let's clear
or
something.
regulated with
No, I think
cra-
we'll agree
change
on
your
that,
bag,
dude.
change
I
this-
think
you
we'll,
know what I mean?
we'll agree on that.
Yeah.
I think we agree that the notion that this government has to fucking take this chunk is maybe not right because.
But you
the-
need roads. You need ambulances.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm
you need
with you on
Why
that.
does the
hospitals.
government have to do that?
Because as a society, we got to have each other's backs on
hold
very
on.
basic
There are
things.
basic-
This camera, which is this a camera?
Not a necessity, but very cool.
Okay,
and
well
is-
that's infinitely more complex than building a road. And the government doesn't build cameras. They don't even build the road.
But I'm not asking for the government to take over cameras.
Yeah.
I'm not. But that's never been
But
what
why
I've
the
asked
road?
for.
Why everybody? That seems to be the whole.
Because
Why?
I gotta
Why?
get to the
Because
store and
he's
buy
not
shit.
using the camera. He's not using the camera.
Sure.
He's not using the camera.
Yeah.
You're using the road.
Right.
You're using the road.
Yeah.
I'm using the road. So these things that are mutually beneficial, in which for us to all live our modern day, to live daily, which is I need to get to the Sycamore Tavern, so I have to take this road. It's in all our
Yeah.
mutual beneficent that I butchered that word, but it's all that the road is smooth and it goes, and I don't get robbed going to the road.
By
so that-
highwaymen.
by highwaymen. So I get what you're saying, but when there's certain things, we already have, dude, socialism. We have rich people
So
socialism.
Walmart. Let's think about the socialism that the heads of the Walton family gets, right? Walmart pays their employees like such fucking dog shit, and Amazon does this too. That their
Dude, Amazon's so bad that Walmart's complaining about
That's
their
true.
business practices.
So they-
that's how, dude,
So-
that's how bad it is.
No, but if you
that's
were-
like Michael Myers complaining about Darth Vader, dude.
But if you work at a Walmart or if you work in an Amazon factory, there is a 95% chance you will go on food stamps because they pay you so
Are
shitty.
you forced to
And-
work there though?
But,
I don't understand this whole
Yeah,
we
but
are
hold on,
we
hold
are
on.
paying for that. We are paying for their food stamps. So if you don't want us to pay for their food
Why are you
stamps,
paying?
Jeff Bezos should pay
government-
for that.
Government is forcing you to do something that, like
Yeah,
you
but
said
dude-
something interesting earlier, Sam. You said, "I am obligated to pay into the military-industrial complex."
Right.
What a terrible bind that is on
That's
your conscience.
horrible.
On your conscience, going, I have to pay these taxes, knowing that they're going to drone
Boeing,
strikes
Lockheed
and just,
Martin, and
you know, we're totally carpet bombing people. You can't opt out.
We're
That is my
committing
only.
genocide.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
is
I mean, look
create
at
a
Yemen,
system.
man.
You want to drive on this road, opt in for these particular roads. I mean, it's everything can be figured through the privatization. That's all I'm saying.
So let me give you an example of privatization at its ugliest. Have you heard about the thing that happened with Verizon and the firefighters in Malibu when there was
I
the big
have not.
Malibu? So there's a huge ass fucking fire in Malibu a few months ago. Worst fire in
I
Southern
never heard
California.
about it. What happened?
Everything was on fire.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
Didn't
all.
know that.
Everything
Never heard
fucking
that.
burned. But besides all the rich people who live on the beach who I don't feel bad for, there's a lot of fucking beautiful nature there. There's a lot of nice people. It really sucks.
When he saved a bunch of animals.
We did a bunch of, we saved some horses, it was good stuff. However, Verizon cut off the firefighters' connection to the cell towers because they went over the data allowance, because they were calling for fucking water drops on the fire. So Verizon stepped in and said, you need to pay us more if you want to end this fire. How is that not
my
a,
God!
how is
are
that
they
not a...
hanging from
Hold
places?
on, hold on. Okay, that's terrible. I don't think that's a shitty business decision.
But it's the private
So
sector
what
putting its will on the public.
Correct. What happens in the private sector of free markets when a company like Verizon or an actor or anybody that comes out and says something that's just so shitty in the eye of the public? What happens to their stock? What happens to their business? What would happen to Verizon if everybody found out that that's what they did and people died because of it? They would lose business.
You'd think, but
It
they
would-
also they
it would-
made a bunch of commercials where
Sure.
they put firefighters in them instead, and nothing happened.
This is the reality of life, man. You can't change that.
Facebook-
Like
I'm
we're
sorry.
okay. So we have government. that put out videos and propaganda, and probably every person in this room understands the big, giant, mega corporation that the U.S. government is at the moment. And they put out all their propaganda films. But most people know the truth. Eventually the truth comes out, right? And then that's when the correction happens. That's why you have revolutions. So if you have a company that's operating on just terrible ethics and morality, once they get exposed, they will have the ramifications that they deserve. And that's how
Here's
the
what I
works.
think is
I
going on
used
with
to
this
believe that,
discussion.
man.
It is
Here's
how
what's
it
going
is.
on with this discussion is both of you are arguing from an idealistic place from this side, when in reality we have to go, these things both work and I believe can work together if we just control the abuse.
So you're a true liberal, Sam. You are a liberal, and like that's cool. Like it's like what's interesting about liberalism and neoliberalism is that it's become so much less about, frankly, like, look,
live and let live.
Yeah, and Bernie Sanders is really more of an FDR style liberal. Anyway, people, he uses the phrase democratic socialism, but he's really more of a New Deal guy. Like, if you actually look at his record in the Senate, it's just not as far left as everyone says. Like,
No,
it's
because he's not. I mean, like, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Certain things he says, I'm like, this guy might be a psyop as well.
what do you mean
He
by
might
that? I'll hear it out.
One second he's like, oh, we should go into Venezuela. He's talking about all this
That was
Russian
whack.
collusion.
That was whack.
Dude, Hillary got jacked. He knows that didn't happen. Maybe he's saying that so they don't burn his house down.
I'm pretty sure that it's got something to do with it. You know what I read was that one of Bernie's policy guys a couple of days ago said that the Clintons were the biggest assholes in American politics because they
were.
showed him no gratitude for flying around the country and begging his supporters to vote for her. Now, this is really interesting, and nobody really remembers this. People blame Bernie for Trump winning the election,
Which isn't
but
true.
it's not only is it not true, 13% of Bernie voters did not support Hillary. They were pressured that hard that 87% fell in line. 25% of Hillary Clinton voters in 2008 voted for John McCain instead of Barack Obama. So again, the Clintons are pulling this fucking classic Clinton grift where they're telling everybody in the country that they are monsters except for them. It's what they
they're
do.
the worst, dude. The fact that they walked the dude, and I think Trump obviously has some black hat shit. I really do believe he hates pedophilia. I do believe that. I'm watching the numbers.
I think most people do.
No, you welcome to tinfoil hat. And you realize that ain't true, dude. There's dark arts out there, and we talk about all the time on this show.
Yeah, we'll get into Jeffrey Epstein another time, yeah?
Well, I'm going to tell you something about Jeffrey Epstein, dude. The lawyer who fucking basically did the depositions for Jeffrey Epstein's fucking lawyer basically went on fucking... He's on camera saying that the only guy who answered our subpoenas, it was either Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer or the prosecutor, goes the only person to answer the subpoena for the fucking case was Donald Trump. And he got on the phone. They didn't have to subpoena anybody. They didn't do anything. And I'll send you the link. Answered all the fucking questions.
Yes. However, Trump did hire Acosta, who was one of the guys on the prosecution.
Yeah, but dude,
team.
you have to understand that Acosta gave that deal because Mueller told him to. It was during the fucking FBI thing. Mueller came down and told him to give him that fucking deal.
Dude, I'm so sick of Mueller, man. That guy signed the
He's gotta
Patriot
go.
Act. That guy signed the
Let
Patriot
the
Act.
Clintons go. Listen, there's a lot of things I hate Trump about, like his fucking going in causing chaos in Venezuela, his fucking giving arms to fucking the Saudis. But one thing he fucking, whether you like it or not, man, one thing is this fucking, he's got a fucking work in his ass. I really do believe this, and trust me, dude, I don't believe you. I wouldn't kick a fuck. I don't trust a fucking any politician as far as I can kick them. But the one thing I will say about Trump that seems more than evident than anything is that he seems to fucking really want to put an end to a lot of pedophilia. I don't know if he'll ever go after the highs, but there's a lot of people getting arrested right now at a clip that blows Obama out of the fucking water.
You think that's federal? You think, like, for example, what's happening with like Kraft in Florida and all that shit?
I think
with
there's
the
more
hand
than
job
that, dude,
houses?
than people are talking about, because people like him, people like Anthony Weiner, don't go to jail for sexting with fucking people, and they don't go to jail for hand jobs, bro. Trust me, there's either the NFL owners want fucking the Patriots gone because the ratings were so low because of all the bullshit, or he's in deeper waters in other shit than fuck, and this is just a thing they're using.
This is something I do agree with you, that when rich people go down for crimes, there's usually another reason that they actually went down. Harvey Weinstein did not go down until his movies stopped making money, right? Like his last 4 years were flop after flop after flop after flop. And then everyone realized, oh, this guy isn't bringing in cash anymore, we can expose him.
And the guy who exposed him was his brother.
There you go.
And that's where we're at. I don't know if you guys enjoyed this show. I want to do more of this. The truth of the matter is I want to do this with Brody and Eddie Pepitone. Eddie's left. Man. Brody Stevens is right, and it was just fun having them talk because they agree on so much, but there's these little things that if we could have just had them, because Eddie's obviously still so fast, but Brody was so fucking fast.
Dude, it would have been killer, man.
I would have moderated it.
Man, I'm like tearing up thinking about it, you asshole.
Well, it's like I haven't cried this bad since my grandfather died, and I'm out of tears, man. I'm out of tears.
It's been a rough few weeks, man.
I don't know if we solved anything here, but what I think we did is there's a real important dialogue that goes on, because I think there's things that socialists and libertarians could talk about and could get. Like, you're both anti-war, I believe. I think we're both anti-war. You're from an expense point, why are we funding it? And you're from a point like...
Just we're funding
No.
He's not a monster.
You're morally as well. Morally as well. I
just
didn't mean like that. I did not mean
good.
as well like that.
I know, man,
but it's like this funding of this bullshit, and obviously the bloodshed is fucking disgusting.
Of course.
So I think there's a lot of stuff that we both agreed, like government corruption needs to go. I think we both realize that maybe there's a little bit too much idealism in what we're thinking, that we're putting a lot of fucking hope in the fucking, people with egos and alpha males, and maybe that's not the best thing. That maybe there's a way both to get there where it's like, we don't need all the, like, the problem with keep raising taxes is that they keep raising expenses. It's like, I'm always like, dude, if we want to deregulate, let's cut off the fucking the bailouts first, then start working on the deregulation.
Well, and that's my case for things like universal health care and shit like that. It's like if we can afford to bomb the shit out of 9 countries at once, then we can get anybody to a hospital who needs it. Like, we don't need meth heads in the street.
We can't afford to do that. We have $20 trillion in debt.
Well, a big thing that you don't understand. Well, I'm not saying I should have said that to you. That was
fine,
misspoke.
No,
but
that's fine, man.
The big thing that I learned when I was in Canada and I was talking to them, they're like, well, the difference between our system and yours, and you could say it's a population thing, but they talk about how their whole health care system is preventative, meaning they go out of their way from the chemicals in the food to keep you healthy, so it keeps the government fucking spending down. Our health care, and you say everybody, I talk to libertarians, hey, it's capitalism, it should be free market. Now you're talking about trying to make money off of sickness. And that's why there's so much chemicals and shit in our food, because they want you to go to the doctors. And then you follow up with the last episode we have, where they're basically trying to make it impossible for doctors to even become doctors, and they're just gonna put nurses in, and it's nothing against nurses. Without nurses, we'd be all fucked, right? We'd be fucked, man, and our pornos would be shitty, right? But without them, okay?
Someone's got to draw the blood for STDs.
Yeah, man. I mean, this guy gets tested, right? So, I mean, they're just going to be like,
I'm a taken man now. I've hung up the G-string and walked off into the sunset.
Yeah, dude. But the point is that they're going to get, so they just put this data in, oh, here are your symptoms, give them this drug, give them this. We're taking away that. Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, we have to come together and understand, we got to get it's not even step one. We got to go, what's happening before we even get to step one? And that is, get rid of the bureaucracy in the government, get rid of the bureaucracy in becoming a doctor, and get rid of the fucking bailouts that happens in this fucking country. And then we can start getting to the deregulation, get to the free healthcare, and all that shit that we all really want. I mean, it's just the truth, dude. I mean, I know you're fucking, you are for deregulation, but man, if God forbid ever comes day, you fucking have a heart attack, you need a heart surgery, and for some reason your insurance might not cover that, and you're like $85,000 bill, dude, that's gonna fucking suck.
Yeah, that's
Okay? Because where do you go for the discount heart attack fucking, the heart surgery? It's not there. And it's because these guys get fucking just fucking squeezed for every dollar. So by the time they get to serving us, they're fucking so like, fuck, I'm so deep in the hole. Money, 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 money. And they can't do the fucking independent practice. They can't open their own mama shop, Pop, because they're so deep in debt. And the fucking equipment's so expensive. And this is all done on purpose. That's why I say there's collusion. I used to think the doctors were in on it. They're not, dude. It is big farm.
No, they got to fill out so many forms, pay so many fucking bills.
Fees, dude. They got so many fees to become a doctor.
You gotta get Tom Woods on your show.
And I bring them all on,
Tom
dude.
Woods on your show.
I'm a sponge to everything.
Sam's an open mind. I like it.
Josh, it was your show. Any questions as we wrap it up here?
No, man, I'm just absorbing everything.
Hell yeah.
New knowledge right here.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming. I hope you enjoyed it. Anybody got any questions real quick? I thought this was a fun episode. I had a great time. Next week, we're going to talk ghosts and archons and the fucking, are we basically batteries for these fucking, for the fucking Anunnaki? And
The
shit.
answer is yes, Sam.
Yeah,
of
I'm with
course
you,
we're
dude.
batteries.
I really like you. You both were excellent today.
Hey, thanks.
I appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Fucking pleasure.
You
Thanks
were
for
great.
anytime
Don't
you
leave.
want.
Hold on. You're getting a little giddy there. Any other things? LA Speedweed. What's the big anything on the website they should check out?
Just put in the referral code tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hat promo code, and they'll hook you up.
Indica
and,
time.
I'm gonna start remind me to put that on the fucking on the main thing. But we'll talk about that. All right, guys. Thank you very much. This has been Conspiracy Now. Next week is Steve Lee, Stevie Weeby, and the following week is Rachel Evans. So we're super excited about this. Thank you, guys. Bye. Thank you for watching my shitty show. Yay.